behind the scenes pulling the strings.
I wouldn't say the Jedi are, the Sith are, yes. Not the Jedi, but he manipulated Jedi Order in doing what they did.
Yeah.
Or his means to an end.
But at the same time too as well, this is where it's funny because like, you know, I see a lot of the Jedi as military, and you know, and being a military child, my dad told me this a lot, is that my dad, he told me that, son, the hardest thing is to serve. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, because you know what is right and is wrong, but when you sign up and you put your life on the line, you have to do what you're told to do. And if you don't, then your platoon will die. That's how serious it is. And so, and to see how Star Wars put that into the series, to me, I was like, that's real. You know, because if you begin to question on the battlefield, that's what Anakin does a lot. He questions on the battlefield. Anakin, you're not putting not only yourself, but you're putting your Padawan, you're putting, you know, the whole clones at risk because it wasn't something that you want to do. Now, yes, by the grace of the Force, by God, whatever, it works. But the risk is too high. And that's why Obi-Wan was always so hard on Anakin, because he's like, you know what, he's like, because Obi-Wan knows something isn't right. He knows something is right. Because he even kind of like just to kind of dig and try to find out what's going on behind the scenes. But he's like, but we have to do it carefully. We cannot be roguish about it. And that's the problem that I feel that even looking at our own society right now, we have, you know, like personally, like I have nothing but love for our troops. Like anyone that serves military, Marines, I give you guys big round of applause. But my issue though is how the government will send them out to do a job, but won't give them the full details, putting these men and women at risk when actually it's all for power, money, control. How Palpatine does use the Jedi for to start to invade these areas. Because Palpatine, honestly, he's the best like villain ever, because either way he's gonna win. He really is gonna win either way, whether it's like the, you know, the Federation wins or the Federation or the Senate. He wins either way, because why? He owns the Sith and the Jedi.
At the same point, though, you also had during the Clone Wars, you had Jedi walk away from Order. You had you had clone troopers digging through stuff. I mean, read the Janet. Oh God, what's her name? She did Order 66.
Yeah.
They're digging through the history and they're finding out what's going on. In or out. They take
they're done. They bounce out because they realize.
They realize how corrupt it is. So it wasn't just like them. And yeah, the higher up Palpatine had all. Party Master, he did that beautifully.
Yeah, no, he did a great job.
But it was just like they did know what was up, and they weren't just they did follow their fate blindly. But a lot of them just said, "I'm out." They would get out and they left, and they were still hunted down, and they died near the end. But they all did get out, and they were done.
And that's why sometimes even too, like you know, whenever I do meet some military people, when they get out the service, or you know, or if they leave early, they're done. They don't want to talk about it. Just like it's gone behind me. I'm through with this because it's. And that's where, like, Star Wars, for me, did a really good job, is that they show how when you go into something to serve, to protect, you want to do something honor. Like, you know, to be a Jedi is like, man, I get to, like, you know, help people. I want to serve my community, like, you know. And then to realize how you're given a license to all this training and you can't do nothing with it. You know, and then, and on that, too, as well, if someone dies, you can't mourn. You got to just get over it. Like, what?
Well, and that's where, like you said, you want to do it for honor. You want to do it for things like that. And you know, the Klingons and everything, they're warriors for honor. And we had a generation like that does not exist in our societies anymore. If you look at World War II, they were actually fighting an evil. There was an actual evil. Whereas where our guys are sent in and they go, you guys got to go kill these guys. And a lot of them don't even actually know what they're fighting for. You know, they're fighting us, and they don't even know half of what they're fighting for. They're all, oh, it's because of your religion, blah, blah, blah. And some of them just got drafted into that.
Yeah.
And we're going out there to kill them. And it's just...
And again, please understand, we're not bashing our military. If anything, we love our military. Anyone who serves, please understand, you guys are our backbone, our defense. What the issue that I've seen a lot, even with the Star Wars, is that it kind of deals with is that people, even I felt it too. I was mad when the temple fell. My heart cracked. I was like, no, not the temple. It died. You know, because it's so sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
We had him right here and then him.
Yeah, there's something that nobody's hit on yet, and that is that the original trilogy for Star Wars, because that's the only trilogy that exists.
Yeah, exactly.
The original trilogy was focused on equality.
Yep.
It was clear cut. It was clear cut, black and white. The dark side there was no alien races involved in the dark side. I don't know if anyone ever really knows that, but Palpatine had a huge xenophobe issue
Yes,
going on.
big time.
Well, the Republic, the rebels, were fighting for all the alien equality. So it was, well, Star Trek was more about humanity. Star Wars focused more on the equality, not only with races, but with gender as well, because Leia was this incredibly strong, independent woman that was capable of doing stuff, and in the 70s, that was a huge thing.
It was, but and what really disappointed me, a couple of things to comment on with that. What really disappointed me was Padme.
Yeah.
I'm like, you want to talk about the classic domestic violence victim. But even as the flames are engulfing everything, oh, Anakin, I love you. I can change you. I'm sure. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
We don't want to see. I mean, how do you?
Well, she lost a little bit.
She did. She lost. No, okay, we're not even going to discuss the birthing scene and the naming of the children aspect of the birthing scene. That's just horrible. But I mean, the characterization was, to me, just wow. Why make her so weak?
Yeah, but see, that's why I kind of like have the original trilogy kind of stand alone, because the original trilogy was more about equality and everything. It almost kind of reflected like the Civil War and like World War II. It really kind of showed us those two specific time periods of our own history and everything. While the prequels, I don't even know what George Lucas was thinking.
I don't
think he knows. He needed a bigger pool.
Yeah.
The other thing that you touched on was the issue of Palpatine. You know, and I think in our own government, we could sit here and we could ponder the notion that individuals like that exist, perhaps, in certain parties or party lines. Huh?
There's no question about that.
I know, I'm being just cautious because I don't wish to insult anyone.
Yeah, or then maybe you're listening in on.
I try not to do that. Well, I'm sure I'm already got the wiretap. But, you know, I taught enough of these classes. You know we're all wired for those classes. But, you know, there's no doubt about those correlations.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were those stories that I was reading in online about, you know, the Bush administration being upset with these prequels because of how much they thought that they were being portrayed, and they wanted those prequels banned.
Was pissed.
Oh, I know. And I hate to tell you this. He goes on TV now. He says, "Oh, I love being called Vader." I hate to tell you this, but you were not Vader. Palpatine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, get it right. You know, but I mean, there's a lot of this is what I mean about the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars. Star Trek is a very, you know,
It's the soul searching.
yeah.
Yeah, so like in a personal kind of
it's that whole-
Star Trek was soul searching, while Star Wars.
Star Wars gives us the struggles that we go through
Yeah.
basically every day.
Star Trek utopian, it's your ideology.
How-
What you want. Star Wars is more everyday life.
Real
And
life.
I really have a very, you know, I'm attached to both as a fan because I get something out of both of them.
Yeah.
And I think Star Trek,
There we go, I like this.
the ideology behind Star Trek, the humanism, to me is a very strong ideology, and I think something that's going to help us continue to evolve as a people and help maintain the human species. But we also need to see those struggles because the struggles that we see in Star Wars reflect our own, A, B, help us as individuals, help us as a culture to find that glimmer of hope that if they can get through these struggles, you know, we can manage to get through these struggles. So we've actually got a twofold. Being a Star Trek, Star Wars fan is really a good thing.
Yeah.
You got the humanism, you got the struggles that give you the hope at the end of the tunnel. Why not? Both of those combined, to me, are a very, very powerful cultural force that can have a tremendous amount of influence over people.
I agree with that 100%.
And he had something here first,
I don't want to drag it too much back into the
and then we'll
military,
hit him, and I think,
into the military stuff, but I was going to say, well, if you kind of look at the original trilogy for Star Wars, you know, it does kind of remind you of World War II. Oh, we're fighting the great evil.
Yeah.
We know this is evil. In new prequel, even though it's not very good, you can almost kind of look at it as more like, oh, we've been told to fight these people. Why are we fighting it? You know, it could be a correlation to the modern wars we've been fighting because we're not our soldiers don't just believe that the enemy's evil anymore. They don't
No.
eat the line. They don't
No.
eat the propaganda.
No, and I've had a lot of students that are ex-military come back, you know, and be very outspoken in classes about their experiences and about their thoughts.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are just like, you know what, they tell me stories of how they tell their buddies, just shut up, don't ask questions, just do your job and get out of here.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
but
education.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So there is that stir in the military as well, very much so. Yeah, you had one more thing to say?
Lost my train of thought.
Oh, I'm sorry. I believe they're throwing us out.
Is it door already?
And, well, they came by with the little signs a couple
Oh,
of
wow.
times. And,
It's
well,